session. I'm sure you might be tired, and this is lunch recently done. So let me see if we can create a bit more energy in the room. Uh, I promise you not to use all the technical jargons which you would have understood and heard. Okay. I will rather use to share with you the business outcomes using all these data science AI ML. Make sense? So let me connect with the audience a bit. How many of you are students? None. How many of you are in the startup ecosystem? Bangalore is known for that. Great. There is one gentleman and there are a few more. How many of you are in the EV segment, electric vehicles? Wow, lovely. That's fantastic. Great. Why I asked about it is I think there is a wave happening which is around electric vehicles, right? And the use of AI and data science is absolutely prevalent in that segment. Today, we will see how we are using that to really bring some outcome back to the society. What do you see in this picture? Drivers, and a lot of them, right? You have two-wheelers drivers, you have three-wheelers drivers, you have loaders who carry the luggage. And the speaker before me talked about Zepto, right? That can you today live without Zepto? Becomes difficult because we get used to what we see and what we hear. And today I will be speaking about these drivers. You are all aware of this. I think we have seen the journey of how the e-rickshaws have evolved themselves from simple cycle rickshaws to where we are today, right? Um, Let me ask you, do you know how many e-rickshaws are there in the country? Bangalore is not known for e-rickshaws. It has, for some reason, not populated itself in south. But if you happen to be in north and northeast, the entire city is flooded with e-rickshaws, these vehicles. And of course, the two-wheelers delivering those Jeptos and Zomatos and Blinkits. So let me ask you and share some numbers here. 15,000 deliveries per minute. Let it sink in. That's what India has reached. And this is still tier 1 phenomena. If you go to tier 2, tier 3 cities, it's not even started there, right? So let it sink in. This is what India has done. This is what this segment has done. And many of them are actually driving EV adoption. Much, much bigger than what we can think in the passenger vehicle market. Much bigger. If a new passenger car is launched, then there is a lot of fun, fanfare and a lot of noise around it, but nobody really talks about these. Similarly, look at the e-rickshaws. Let me give you the numbers. Only north and northeast, there are 1.5 million registered e-rickshaws. 1.5 million. And hence, they are carrying, no surprise, 60 million passengers rides every day. So the point I'm making out of all this is, one, these last mile drivers are becoming the lifeline of the country. It will be very, very difficult to reimagine ourselves without them, right? And hence, can we even think about these drivers, right? Can we use data science, AI, ML, and everything around it to make life better for them? We are getting used to 10 minutes delivery, but do you know this guy struggles to make $10 a day? Right? That's the reality of life. It has generated a lot of employment, but there are challenges which can be solved through data, and I'll share some of those examples right now as we speak. What are the challenges these people face? I will categorize them primarily in three. One is the financing cost itself. Majority of these drivers come from the lowest strata of society. They can't afford to buy a vehicle, so they take financing, right? Some kind of a loan. What is the challenge in taking a loan? Anybody? Credit. Thank you. So the credit score becomes a challenge for them. Primarily two reasons. One, many of them don't have a credit history in itself. Right? If you don't have a so-called CIBIL score or credit score, then the banks don't provide a loan. You are not even considered loanable person. Right? Number two, and that comes out of lot of theses which we have done around this segment, that because of the second issue, which is the service issues, EV vehicles, the battery is the heart of the vehicle. Because the rest of the thing is, let's call it a mechanical box, right? It is not as complex as an ICE vehicle where you have gearbox and engine and so many things. It's really not. So the rest of the stuff is simple. But battery, which is constituting to 40 to 50% of the cost, is complex. And if you face a service issue there, it becomes very difficult to really get it corrected on time. This is the situation today. Hopefully it will solve tomorrow. Right? So what happens? If your vehicle goes out of service for 2-3 days, you lose that income. Correct? What happens? If you lose that income, this guy has to feed his family. So obviously he will meet his family needs first and he misses the EMI. Correct? Because he misses the EMI, what happens? His CIBIL score gets affected further. So it becomes a vicious negative cycle for this driver. Are we together so far on this? Correct? So the root cause was something else, which is service. But it has created a defaulter in the system. Right? And hence it makes it even more difficult for him to get a loan. So that is problem number 2. And problem number 3, very obvious, but not really factored in by the people. The vehicle life is more than the battery life. Clear? Let's say an e-rickshaw in this case, or a two-wheeler, the vehicle goes up to 3 to 5 years. But the battery goes up to 1 year to 2 years. So what it means, this driver would have to go and procure a battery few times during the life cycle. So by the time he completes his first loan, there is again a time for him to take another loan. Right? And these are the 3 things which makes him stay in this vicious cycle of debt. So what we need to deliberate today, and I'll share with you some of the examples where we are working on, that can we use these technologies which you would have heard here and you are working in your life around data science, AI, ML, to make life better for the last mile drivers. That is the context setting now, and I'll now take you to the real solutions. And in fact, that's why we call it real solutions for real people with real outcome. Right? So be with me. And obviously would be more than happy to interact after the session as well, but if there are any questions during the session, feel free to ask. So let's go to, can data really get into the financial inclusion for these drivers? And the answer is big yes. In fact, a month back there was a report in ET which said that a strange connection of data to financial inclusion. And it found mention of ChargeUp as well, what we are doing. So I'm taking this opportunity today to connect with this audience to talk about what we are doing around it. So primarily 3 things. 1, can we create an alternate score for this driver other than just the credit score? And qualify him or disqualify him for a financing solution. That's number 1. Number 2, can we use, you have heard of IoT, machine to machine, correct? So can we use IoT data and predict the failure of the battery even before it happens? Right? Consider it's like an heart attack. Before the heart attack happens, your body gives enough signals, right? When you go for a test, your physician asks you to do the blood test, etc., and he is able to read it and say you are okay, or some of your parameters are going beyond the acceptable limits. And you start correcting it. If you don't correct it, obviously, then there is a health hazard waiting for you. So can we apply very similar principles on the battery? Okay. And third one is, if we are able to do good service predicted before battery fails, and then finally, can you do even predictiveness around the payment and the defaults? If you use data AI/ML to solve this, then you have actually solved a big problem for these last mile drivers. Are we together so far? Okay. So let's go one by one into all these three. Alternate risk score. Today there are enough signals which you can capture within the privacy and secrecy compliances, which can tell you whether this can be a potential loaner or a defaulter. In fact, they are as powerful as the CIBIL score. And at the end of the presentation, I'll share with you that we have seen where the CIBIL score was good, but the karma score was not good, and the reverse as well. And we call it karma score simply because it's self-explanatory. It talks about how is the karma for the driver, right? And we capture many parameters which tells me what is the potential score for this driver. And based on that, I can qualify the driver for giving him battery. Once we have solved that problem, then we have already started the financial inclusion for the driver. Let's go next one. Service. This is a very common sight on the roads. You can see the two-wheelers and the three-wheelers, they run out of juice. Sometimes the battery goes down, or battery is discharged fully and they didn't get a time to charge. Or there was a false alarm about the charging and they didn't get to the charging point before it ran out of juice, right? What it means, then obviously the vehicle goes out of running and then it creates enough problems. Versus that now, we have put IoT. All our vehicles and the drivers are completely IoT enabled. It is pre-fitted in the factory, tech enabled. We don't even sell anything without an IoT. And IoT is just the starting point. We capture almost 45 parameters. Let it sink in. 45 parameters about that battery every 20 seconds. So you, being all the data scientists and AI/ML engineers in the room, you can see what is the humongous nature of the data which comes. Every 20 seconds, you are capturing multiple parameters around that battery. Now, if you allow your ML engine to work behind it, you measure the patterns, you measure multiple parameters and say, this battery is doing okay. This battery has started to degrade itself faster than the design. This battery is showing more internal resistance, and hence you predict whether this battery needs a service, even before it goes down. Make sense? And as we speak right now, it's happening. Obviously, the ML model will mature with time. As you all know, the more data it feeds, the more accurate it becomes. We are able to predict as good as 10 days to 30 days in advance that this battery can eventually fail if we don't correct it. Sometimes, just to give you some examples, the problems are as stupid as one can think of. Right. Let's say the battery and the vehicle is connected through a simple cable. If that cable is not properly installed, due to vibrations on the road, the cable will start losing its strings, it will start creating loss, and it will start reducing the range on the battery. Right? So if you can correct it on time, then you have saved a potential failure. Similarly, in battery, strangely, the way it works, once you have allowed the cell to degrade, if one cell starts degrading, then it puts the pressure on the rest of the cell. Right? Then the other cell will start degrading faster. And once it degrades beyond certain level, it becomes even difficult to repair the battery. So if we can predict up to a cell level that this cell is already showing unhealthy behavior, and if you can correct it by recalling that vehicle proactively, then you have saved a potential failure of the battery, of course, and you have saved a potential service issue for this driver. So this is about predictive battery. Right? In four-wheelers, people like Tesla, they were already doing it. In this segment, which I'm talking about, nobody is doing it. Simply because, forget about predictive, people are not even putting efforts to put technology into it. They are like dumb vehicle. So we started putting the IoT into it and then created multiple models behind it. Another example is around safety. If the cell has started degrading, if there are loose connections, it will create heat. If it starts creating heat and if you don't correct it again on time, it can be a safety issue eventually on the road. So by doing all this modeling around it and you are monitoring it every 20 seconds, we are able to create this predictiveness on the vehicle. Together so far? Great. And you can see there are alarms raised, warranty management, recall to service, recall to OEM, safety. These are the real dashboards. Right? So we can pinpoint to a specific driver, to a specific battery. Now let me give an example around how do we use AI over it. This was ML, right? So machine is learning. Now bring in the intelligence around the geography, right? Let us say if I have to recall a battery, technically I should try to recall the battery in such a manner the driver does not lose his running income. It means I should be able to recall it when the driver is not working. Right? It's like when we go to some place on Saturday, Sunday, because you are not losing your income on that day, you are on a chutti. Drivers also behave the same way. So how do we bring in AI into it? I work in multiple geographies. And what we found very interesting, in places like Delhi, Karnal, etc., you have 6 days of working, Sunday is a holiday. So driver runs minimal on Sunday, sometimes don't run. Rest of the days, he is working. But that pattern is completely opposite in tourist cities. Mathura, Agra, Jaipur, Ayodhya. What happens? These are the maximum peak hours for these drivers. Right? And that's where the AI engine now plays. That learning from these patterns, they can say that a Jaipur driver should not be recalled on Sunday. Unless it's an emergency, then it's a different thing. Correct? Very simple. I'm just sharing with you a very simple use case that he should not be recalled on that day. Similarly, it helps me plan my service engineers and their rostering, that my service engineer in Jaipur and Agra works on Sunday and takes an off on Tuesday. Right? Which is not the case for rest of my cities. Right? And that is where the AI plays the role. So you have ML working and you have AI working. I'll take a pause. Let them, please take your seats. No worries. Absolutely no worries. And the result of this ultimately output, let's face it, driver does not understand all these mumbo jumbos of AI, ML, etc. He is interested in simple thing. Is his battery running more, right? And we are able to give them an uptime, which is fantastic, as compared to the earlier case when it was not tech enabled. We are able to really do even the buyback. Buyback of the battery is, just to explain that picture. Today, buyback is like bhangar. Bhangar, you understand, it's like scrap, right? And scrap goes per kg. It does not matter what the battery is, what is the condition of the battery. Now, because I know entire history and geography of this battery, I know what is the remaining juice in this battery, right? And hence, I am able to derive a better buyback value for that driver. So not only you solved his uptime problem, not only you solved his saving his income loss, but at the end of the battery life, you are able to give him a better value. Let it sink in. It's a very important aspect. And not only it is from the income for the driver, but it's a very important aspect for environment too. In general case, this battery would have simply gone for scrap. But because we are able to see there is a juice left, can the battery be repurposed for secondary use? Right? Let us say you have a battery in your solar plant. Correct? Can it be used there? It may not be very usable for mobility purpose, but it's still juice left for static purpose. Right? Can it be used at home for inverters? What happens, let's say at home the light goes for 30 minutes. Right? During that time only you need that inverter and the battery. Rest 23.5 hours, generally you are working perfectly okay. Right? So that battery was not useful for mobility purpose. You can't run an e-rickshaw on that, but can you use it in the inverters? Right? These are the repurpose of the battery. So hence buyback value becomes higher. All right, let's go to the next one, which is, can you now run your, yes, please. Yeah. This is a bit of a technical term. I'm happy to explain that offline, but that is a terminology used for measuring the health of the battery, which is called SOH, state of health. And we measure state of health over period of time, over aging, over number of cycles, so multiple parameters across that. And here, if you see again this red battery, the red dot is already started showing, the example which I was giving, already started showing that this battery can be a potential failure. And this battery then is analyzed further and recalled. All right. I was talking about, can you now predict defaults? Anybody wants to speak about how do you predict default? That whether this driver will be able to pay on time? One is historical data of the payments. Thank you. What else? Current? Current balance. What else? Uptime. This uptime and the run kilometers, because it's very simple. What is his income? Number of kilometers he runs in a day and number of days he runs in a month. Right? If he is running well, he is earning well. If he is earning well, his propensity to pay is always higher. Correct? So very simple, but it is again coming from the power of that data which you are collecting all the time with him. Right? In fact, we even outcall the drivers who are not running well to check, is there a problem we can help you with, or is that a real issue? Sometimes we find, let's say, if you guys understand, during Chhat Puja, there is a festival called Chhat Puja, immediately near Diwali. Many of these drivers go home in UP and Bihar. Okay, so when we call them and say, no, I am off, 7 dinon ke liye I am not running, and that's perfect. That's a intended reason. There is nothing wrong in the battery, there is nothing wrong in the vehicle, just that he decides not to run, and it's fair, right? So my engine will feed that information for the next patterns that, hey, you need not to worry for these drivers during these days, correct? But we found drivers who were not running, and they were not running for any reason. And actually, they were the biggest in defaults. So if you don't run, you don't earn, you don't pay. And that precisely is our tagline. Make them run more, earn more, pay well. So you change the cycle completely. And now, as I promised you, ultimately we call these, if you look at here, the karma score is very good, though this credit rating is not. So if you look at this one here, around 20% of the drivers, we call them situational defaulters. They didn't have the intention not to pay. Do you see the difference between intentional defaulters and situational defaulters? So if you solve that situational defaulters problem of good service, which I shared it with you, you are able to bring this negative vicious cycle to a positive vicious cycle. And because of this, we are able to even get drivers who are new to the credit, we were able to really give them battery leasing. Simply because our engine is already predicting that this is a good guy. Now extend it further. Once you have these karma scores built, can I then offer them adjacent loans? Right? This driver may have kids at home and he may need some kind of a loan for education. Right? And that's precisely is the next step then. Once this, you are able to bring that guy into the mainstream of the society, you have included him into the financial inclusion, his CIBIL score starts going up because the defaults are not there. And through this, you are able to really give them more and more loans. So you are creating a good tax-paying citizen in the end, right? And the harsh reality is a doctor wants to make his son a doctor or a daughter a doctor, but a driver generally does not intend to make his son or daughter the next driver. So if you can contribute into his financial inclusion whereby his kids are better educated and hopefully they do much better job than just driving, right? So you are creating a positive vicious cycle of financial inclusion. All right, and I was talking about number of kilometers, etc. So we measure all this. And that is the end of my presentation saying we do three things for financial inclusion. Use the power of data to identify the right driver. Use the power of digital twin to identify the battery failures before it happens, and hence creates run more, earn more. Use AI/ML to segregate between the situational defaulters and intentional defaulters. And hence you created this karma score to really bring them into the mainstream. That's what we do. And whatever I have shared with you is all real. It's already happening. This revolution is already started. Right? And this is our tagline. Our life is better when their life is. If we can make their life better, these last mile drivers will continue to really make our life better. Right? The example which he used, Zepto, it's like, hey, come on, before you go to the kitchen to make a coffee, you can get a coffee delivered at home. It's crazy, right? So we are getting used to these conveniences. In fact, this is one space where India has taken a leap as compared to all the developed countries. Right? My son lives in Sydney, and once I was talking about, hey, why don't you just get a flower delivered to a friend? And he says, Papa, it will take 5 days. I said, in which country are you living? Right? For us, it is 15 minutes. Right? I think we have changed the way society looks at India, and the other countries looks at India. So let's work together on this. If you have any suggestions, ideas, please follow me on the LinkedIn. I continue to post. There are many podcasts and other things which we drive around these. This is an education which will take time. It's not going to be easy. We are talking of a segment which is not tech savvy. We are talking of an industry which is not tech deployed. So it is going to take some time to really get into it. But my confidence is very high coming from Meta and Vodafone, where we have done these 0 to 1 interventions in the industry and in the society, and it happens. Just that you have to make it get habitual to. Once they get habitual to, it will be difficult to survive without these things. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Satish. Does anybody have questions? We can take a couple of them.
Yeah, if anybody has questions,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
Can we
want to
take a
check-
question?
I
Yeah, yeah,
wanted to-
please.
I wanted to check, what's your business model? Here,
Where
over
is-
here.
Okay, yeah, hi.
What's your business model? Is it on a subscription basis, or
Yes.
what's the? So
It's on a subscription basis because again, it's very difficult for anybody to pay for AI/ML immediately. It will be huge cost. So we are saying you need not to worry about all the complexity. Just subscription basis.
On
You
a
can take a
daily rate.
battery on month.
Oh, okay.
Even recently, and thank you very much for asking this. Recently, we even launched daily payment. So we are telling the driver, you earn and pay on that very day. So can we sensitize this entire market? Because for him, it's very easy. If I earn, I can pay instead of waiting for the month. Thank you for asking that question.
So I
Yes,
have one.
please.
So how did you train your digital twins for this battery?
How many?
How did you train your digital twins for these batteries when you didn't have much real data?
So, great question. Again, his question was, how do I train my model? First of all, we have battery data of 5 years. So, there is enough captive data we are sitting on, and we were able to create those patterns. That's number one. Number two, as any AI/ML engine works, it continues to be fed on the data, and it improves itself. My predictive accuracy model is already reached 83%. Right? And I'm very confident in next 1 year or so, we should be hitting 90% levels. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Correct. Correct. Thank you. The question for those who could not hear it because he was not speaking on mic, he says, what is your learning of working with this low income segment of the society in terms of using these subscription models? Let me give an example from my earlier life. I was in Facebook. We wanted to launch Facebook pages, right? And we debated enough in the boardroom that should we launch it with a big corporate or should we launch it with an SMB, right? Answer was obvious. Launch it with an SMB. We have gone to the next door bakery shop and told them, do you want to make a website of yours? He says, no, I don't need it. I don't even know what the website is, right? And it will take so many days and so much of money, and I don't have anybody who can understand website. We said, what if we can make a website for you within 30 minutes, right, which is called Facebook pages? And that is how it started. So sometimes it's difficult to sell these ideas to the big corporates. It is easy to sell those ideas if you can speak their language to this segment. And we are already seeing this. Because as I said, they understand the language of service, right? If you can help me run more, whatever you do in the background, I don't care, right? Just give me that and it works. And our drivers are loving it. In fact, Karma score, one parameter is the CSAT score of the driver. Another parameter is referral for the driver, right? If you start getting referral, it means you have a satisfied customer at the end of it, right?
Yeah,
Hi.
just
Hi,
two more.
my name is Anubhav. I'm from EY here.
Anubhav, where? Okay, yeah, please.
My question is about related to margins, because this is a community with not that
Yeah.
much income, and obviously putting IoT plus
Yeah.
team sitting at the back doing AI, ML, and obviously the talent is it requires a huge amount of money.
Great question. I can take this? Yeah, just the last question, I guess.
How do the
and then-
margins
yeah.
work? And
So, very simple again. If you ask him to pay for the service, he will register, right? But if, and that's what we used, if you lose 1 day of uptime, what do you lose? 1,500 rupees of earning in a day, correct? If you now tell him that I will save you 1,500 rupees, will you pay me 100 rupees? Which one is better? Correct? It's a question of then positioning. Because if you tell him I will give you AI ML subscription, he will say, I don't need it, right? So that is what you need to sell him what he understands. that I will not let your vehicle and service down. Then are you ready to pay? Answer is yes. Another example, similar one, and I'll close this, and after that, happy to take discussions later. Because it's IoT enabled, we can demobilize the vehicle, if you understand the IoT concept, right? I can remotely shut down the vehicle and the battery. I get a call from a driver at 1 a.m. He says, sir, I'm sitting in a police station. My vehicle is stolen. Can you do something about it? He didn't know anything around all this data, right? We told him, yes, your vehicle is 250 meters away in this lane. Within 50 meters accuracy, we traced the vehicle and told him, go and seize it. And it was seized with the police, and that guy thanked us that you saved my life. Because all said and done, one can say a vehicle is insurance and it will be claimed, but the hassles of going for an FIR, going for an insurance, he'll be out of service for 2 months. And that's what he starts paying for it.
So
I hopefully
you answered
explained
it,
that.
correct. So
Yeah.
when did ChargeUp go live, and is there any competition at
It's
the
already live. We are in 15 cities already. We are having pretty good number of drivers on the platform. But this phenomena is very north and North India, as e-rickshaw itself is not penetrated in this part of the city.
Okay, and any competitors you see?
Competitors are there, and they will be. I think the market is so big right now. We are rather saying, let's increase the pie instead of worrying about catching the pie. So we want more people to really join the tech bandwagon. Right? There are people without tech, but I'm saying let the tech really show the benefit to the drivers and to the industry.
Okay, thank you for answering.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for being such a lovely audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Satish, for that insightful conversation.
Thank you.